And now, News Channel 10's 24/7 local weather first alert forecast, sponsored by Generator Supercenter of Amarillo.
Well, good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Sheldon Brashears checking in with another warm day for most of you around the region. A few changes in the forecast for the day today. As you're going to see 60s here as you go on into the mid-morning hours, 70s by lunchtime, but look further up north compared to what you're seeing down off towards the south. Of course, a little bit different there. As you're going to be seeing temperatures climbing up in the mid to upper 80s down off towards the south. High 70s here in Amarillo, but only low 70s further up north. There's a cold front getting ready to push into the area, 60s by this evening. Let's look at our wind tracker. There's those southwesterly winds, but right around 9 o'clock in the morning, you're going to see right there 20 to 25 mile an hour winds up around Elkhart, Guyman, Liberal. Those winds advance through the area. You're going to see a few gusts over 20 miles an hour as that cold front does push into Amarillo. As you just saw from our temperature forecast, it's a very weak cold front in terms of the temperatures it's bringing with it. So obviously not dropping temperatures that much for us, but you'll see those cooler winds out of the north right there, about 10 to 20 miles an hour for most of the daytime hours. And then for your Wednesday, we start to push those winds out of the east, which does start to maybe what we call advect a little bit of moisture into the area, which could give us some low wind chances for maybe a scattered shower or two off in the east on your Wednesday. But our next weather maker, we're still really watching Thursday as our next really big chance of some more significant impacts from the weather. So low pressure system expected to still push through. Dry line setup. Of course, the typical setup that we are all too familiar with. Dry and windy off towards the west. You could be seeing stormy conditions off towards the east. But the big question marks right now, we're still trying to figure out the placement of this cold front. As some models say, yes, it will be in the Texas Panhandle, we will see some severe weather. Other models say, no, we'll just all get dry lined and we're all going to see warm and windy conditions. I really say I'm confident in the fact that most of us will probably see warm, dry, and windy conditions, but that little chance for some severe weather off in the east still does exist, and all severe weather threats would be in play if that does happen. Of course, tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds, all could be a threat we face if that dry line does push further to the west. So we are continuing to monitor, but right now it's still just a little bit too early to call because there's still so much model agreement, which does lead to low forecast confidence. But right now from the Storm Prediction Center, as you can see, most of your, I'd say probably the eastern third of the area under a slight risk for severe weather, while you see marginal turning to thunderstorm risk further off towards the west, basically leaving that margin for error of where that dry line could set up. Looking at your dynamics, it's generally all there. As you're going to see those dew points in the 40s here for the next couple of days, but then going into Thursday, we start to get those dew points up into the 50s. So the moisture is starting to get pulled in a little bit. But then, like I said, big question mark is where does that dry line set up? So for right now, this is what one of our long-range models is showing. You're going to see it just barely skirting our eastern counties. And this is going to be late Thursday into early Friday. You will notice just very few parts of our areas possibly being affected, but like I said, this is something that has been changing almost every single model run we get, thus the low confidence. So right now we're still holding 10% chances. It's still a possibility. We still want you to be weather aware, but it's still too soon to really talk about the exact specifics of it all just yet. 70s here for the next couple of days. We'll warm back up into the 80s. Some windy days as you kick off the weekend. Saturday, a similar setup as we might see another 10% chance of some thunderstorms as we start out next week with relatively lighter winds, and as you can see right there, daytime highs in the 70s. As always, keep it locked to News Channel 10 for the latest on your local forecast.